Hello everyone, I'm Swati from Right Scholar Senior Secondary School Sonipat. We'll be starting with chapter 1, what is psychology. So, in this chapter, we'll be talking about the nature and the role of psychology in understanding mind and behavior. Also, we will talk about the growth of this discipline and how different fields of psychology are related to other disciplines and professions. We will also cover it. We will be appreciating the value of psychology in our daily life so that we can understand ourselves and others better. So, I have already shared an audio where I talked about the introduction of the chapter, introduction of what is psychology. I hope things are little clear to all of you, and I hope you all have written notes also in your notebook. So now let's start with the introduction itself. So in the introduction, I shared that the most striking aspect of this discipline of psychology is that, like unlike other subjects, unlike other fields, the study of psychological processes are basically internal and they're available to humans itself. This is the beauty about psychology. Okay, so all the things can be observed within ourselves. So the study of psychological processes, they are largely internal. So now let's talk about what is psychology. Any knowledge discipline is hard to define. So firstly, why? Because it evolves continuously. So psychology is also evolving every day. It's an emerging field. Secondly, because the range of phenomena its studies cannot be captured by any one definition. So this is even more true of psychology. So what happened? That psychology is basically derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. So psyche means soul and logos means science, or basically the study of subject. So thus psychology is a study of soul, or you can say mind. Okay. Now, as you can see in the highlighted portion on the right side, the range of phenomena it studies, some of which we mentioned above, are spread over several levels, like individual level or two persons or organizational, it could be. So they have biological as well as social basis. So naturally, therefore, the methods required to study them also, they greatly depend on the phenomena one wants to study. So, what I mean to say is that psychology is not a limited field. It does not have a fixed boundary wherein we can explore it. It is very difficult to explore all the aspects of psychology. But like I said, the most beautiful, most striking part about psychology is that its study lies within ourselves. Okay, it starts from us. So now we will be talking about with the mental processes. What are mental processes? So when we say experiences are internal to the experiencing person, then we can say that this is mental, this is a mental process. So let me be little clear with it. We use our mental processes when we try to solve a problem, to know or remember something. Okay, one level at which these mental processes are reflected is the brain activity. So, for example, I say just there is an apple, and so what comes to your mind immediately? I'm sure you all have this apple picture in your mind, in your brain, isn't it? So now, like I said, the mind and the brain. Initially, we all think that mind and brain are same, but no, they are not same. There lies a difference between them. So basically, mental activities and neural activities are overlapping processes. Okay, they are not identical. So, unlike the brain, the mind does not have a physical structure, isn't it? Do we know the physical structure of our mind? No, we do not know about it. But we know about the physical structure of brain. Moreover, mind emerges and evolves as our interactions and experiences in this world get dynamically organized in the form of a system, right? And but brain activities, they provide only clues as to how our mind functions. They are related to each other, but they are not identical at all. Okay. Now, but the consciousness of our own experiences and mental processes are much more than the neural or brain activities. So, what does it mean? That, for example, I say when we are sleeping, does the mental activities go on? Yes, of course. This is when we dream, isn't it? And we receive information such as knock on the door while we are asleep. We can hear it. So, mental processes is all about remembering. It is all about learning, knowing, perceiving, feeling. Okay. So, now, as you can see in the picture, that in the Indian tradition, reflection and analysis of our conscious experiences is held to be a major source of psychological understanding. Okay, that means our psychological understanding comes from our conscious experiences. What is a conscious experience? It's an experience when we are in our senses. Now, regardless of the differences in the ways psychologists go about the study of behavior, mental processes, and experiences, they seek to understand and explain them in a systematic and a verifiable manner. How? That psychology, it's a very old knowledge discipline. It's a young science. Okay. Now, it was, if one would talk about it, it was the year of the founding of the first laboratory of psychology was in 1879. Now, this is important for MCQs. Now, what kind of science is psychology is still a topic of debate. Okay, so some people say that it is more related to natural science, some people say it is related to social science, but I think, or whatever I have studied, is it's like that it involves all kinds of science somehow, somewhere. Okay, now psychology is, like I said, it is related to science, natural science also, and it is also related to social science. Okay, so now let's talk about, we'll be starting with how psychology is related to natural science. So modern psychology, as it is, I have highlighted the portion, modern psychology has developed because of the application of the scientific method to study psychological phenomena, right? Now, what does that mean? It means that when we say that psychology is related to natural science, we are saying that all the modern psychology, it has been derived from scientific methods to study the psychological phenomena there, and that is how we relate it to natural science. So basically, psychology as a discipline today has two parallel streams. That means psychology includes two fields, one which makes use of physical and biological science, and the other which makes use of social and cultural science. We can also say environment. We can also involve environment in this. Okay. Now, these two streams are very different from each other, but there comes a point where they meet each other. Okay, though they have separate ways, but they meet at some point and then they drift apart. Okay, so in the first case, psychology considers itself as a discipline that focuses only on biological principles so that it can explain the human behavior, right? It basically assumes that all the causes, it can be delivered, it can be, calculated by the data collected systematically under the controlled conditions. Okay, so what do you think is the aim of the researcher? Can somebody just think of it? Then basically the aim of the researcher is to know the cause and effect, a relationship or effect of the relationship, so that a prediction of the behavior can be made. So now let's again start with how psychology is related to natural science, as it has been highlighted here that modern psychology has developed because of the application of the scientific method to study psychological phenomena. Now, science places a great deal of emphasis on objectivity, which can be obtained if there is consensus on the definition of a concept. What does that mean? It means that See, when we talk about science, we talk about experiments, we talk about data, we talk about conclusions, result, we talk about objects, and no theories. No theories before the experiment, isn't it? You have been in touch with subject science till grade 10, you have already studied about it. So you know that every phenomena we talk about has come from some experiment only. So this is science where it first considers an object, and after that we can say that this theory is this is how it has been, developed. Okay. Now psychology was, influenced by the Descartes, and later on the developments in the physics has grown by following what is called as hypothetical deductive model. Now basically what is this model about? The model says that all the scientific progress can take place if you have a theory to explain a phenomena. So this is so relatable. If you are saying something and I want you to, prove what you are saying, you will state an example, isn't it? Why you will state an example? Because on the basis of that you can prove your theory. Now this is very easy hypothetical deductive model wherein you have to simply, put a theory so that it can explain the phenomena. For example, the physicists have what is called a Big Bang theory to explain how universe came to be formed, isn't it? So at many places you must have written how universe was formed. So there you will see many theories written. So one of the theory is Big Bang theory that supports the formation of universe. Okay. Now um, now whatever theory is there, it's not like you simply state the theory and it is going to prove your data, your whatever theory you want to say. No, it's every theory you states should have some tested, should have some hypothesis and which should be tested, and it should prove true or false based on whatever data you have gathered from places. Okay. So psychologists have developed theories of learning, memory, attention, perception, motivation, emotion, and we will be talking about all of these theories in the chapters ahead. Now, how psychology is related to social science, let's talk about that. So psychology is like, how we can say that it is related to social science, because we focus on humans as social beings, isn't it? Whatever theories, not all, but a maximum of theories are, they are tested on human beings. So that means we are considering society somewhere. So there is this story of Ranjita and Shabnam. Now, just let me, give a brief about the story. Now, these two people, Ranjita and Shabnam, they are in the same class. Uh, Although they were in the same class, they were just acquainted with each other, and their lives were very different from each other. So basically, Ranjita comes from a family of farmer, and her, grandparents, parents, and elder brother worked in the farm for their livelihood. Now they lived together in the house in the village. Ranjita, on the other hand, is a good athlete. Now, sorry, Ranjita, the same person that is a good athlete and is the best long distance runner in the school. So she loves meeting people, she loves to make friends. But Shabnam, on the other hand, lived with her mother in the same village, and her father worked in an office in a town nearby. Okay, so Shabnam was a good artist and she loves to stay at home to take care of her younger brother. She is little shy and she avoids meeting people. Okay, so last year when there was heavy rain and the river nearby, overflowed into the village, many houses in the low-lying areas were flooded. So what happened, that villagers got together and they helped each other and provided shelter to people in this distressed situation. So Shabnam was also flooded, so she started living with Ranjita in her house. So this is how they both, helped each other at this point of time. So in this case, these two people are very different from each other. They have different families, they have different conditions, but so you can see some regularity in the relationship of their nature, experience, and mental processes with the society and physical environment. But there lies a variation also in their behavior and experiences, which will be very difficult to predict at this point of time. Okay. And in this case, not every villager was helpful, but people came forward and they helped each other. Okay, this is how a society is actually. So now let's talk about mind and behavior. Now, for many decades, the mind remained a taboo in psychology. Why? Because it cannot be defined in a concrete manner, because we cannot indicate where its location is. So, if the term mind has returned to psychology, we should thank we should thank who? Neuroscientists like Sperry and physicists like Penrose, who have brought this mind into psychology, because we basically do not study about mind in science, but we do talk about it in psychology. So what is mind? Is it same like brain? It is true that mind cannot exist without brain. Okay, so mind is a separate entity. It is not a brain. These two are different things, but mind is developed from brain. Okay. And this can be, appreciated on several interesting cases, like we have shared in the video I shared with all of you. So I hope from that video it is clear the difference between this mind and brain. I hope you all have done the activity also 1.1. So now let's simply talk about this topic of mind and brain. So now I will be talking about some study which was performed by Dweck in the year 1975. So scientific knowledge generated by psychology runs against common sense. One such example is a study which was performed by Dweck in 1975. Now, what happened? That she was concerned with children who gave up too easily when faced with a difficult problem or when they face failure. So she wondered how they can help such people. So common sense says that it tells us to give them easy problems in order to increase their success rate, isn't it? So every a class, let's say there are 30 students in the class. Everybody cannot understand a simple topic. This is also very common. But this motivation is very much required. Like for example, I keep on appreciating somebody who is not performing in the class the way I want, but still if I'm going to appreciate the person, it can improve the success rate, right? So common sense on only later should we give them difficult problems, gradually they can improvise. So Dweck's study tested this. So what she did, she took two groups of students who were trained for 25 days for solving a mathematical problem. Okay. So the first group was given easy problems. So they were always able to solve these problems. But the second group were given difficult problems to solve. Okay. So they failed. So whenever this happened, Dweck told them that the failure was because they had not tried hard enough and persuaded them not to give up and keep trying. Are you getting the point? There were two groups made by Dweck, and what she did that she gave easy problems to one of the group, so they used to solve it every time. The other group was not able to solve the problems because they were given difficult problems, but in spite of difficult problems they were every time motivated, like not to give up and to try really hard. So after the training period, a new set of maths problem were given to two groups. Now what Dweck found, that those who had always succeeded because they were given easy problems gave up much faster and they failed. But um, the others who were failing initially, were successful because they never learned how to give up. So today we are going to end our session here. So go through all we have studied till now. Make sure that you are clear with the definition of psychology, how it it all started, psychology, and how it is related to other disciplines like natural science and social science. What are the differences between mind and brain? You all should know about it. And last, we you should all know about Dweck's theory. Okay, so just read about it, just learn about it, and the further chapter will be covering in the next video. So I hope you all have learned few things from it. Even if things are not clear to you, you are facing some problem, feel free to send a message to me so that I can clear your problems. Okay, have a good day, all the best, take care.